Thank you, Charlotte. So yes, I'm going to share with you a little bit about our journey during this lockdown and almost kind of our journey going into this lockdown period. And you will see there on my cover screen, that's actually a picture of one of our rooms. Each of our guest houses rooms it's got a wellness theme. So our rooms names are like faith and happiness and dream and joy, those kind of names. And I'm specifically sharing this picture with you from our faith room because I think for so many of us, whether you are an entrepreneur or whether you are in the corporate world, this period is really tough, and a lot of us have been impacted in some kind of way. And I think the best that we can really do during this period is to have faith. And I think the good thing, at least with this, is I think a lot of us who are entrepreneurs, we have started from scratch somewhere in the past. And what a lot of us, I think, will be starting from scratch again after this period. And at least we know we are much more experienced than a couple of years when we've started our businesses. And we can only have faith in ourselves and our abilities and what we do, and then obviously in God or whatever your higher power is that you believe in. And that would be my biggest message to all of you, to really just keep the faith during this period. So I just want to share this with you. We are going to have a little competition. So I'm going to give you just 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and I would like to encourage you to take a picture. You can take it from the screen. You can take a selfie with you kind of with the screen in the background, but we are going to ask you to do something with your pictures right at the end of the webinar, and there will be a prize for one of you who will be sharing your pictures with us. So just quickly, so you don't need to do anything with it now, as long as you are having your picture to keep it till the end of the webinar. Okay, I guess we can get going. So I want you to think a little bit about your finances, specifically your business finances. You can obviously also think about your personal financial situation, but if you have to think about it, how does it make you feel? Do you feel happy and content, and you are in a good space and you feel you have enough money? You don't need to stress about money. Money is actually something that gives you joy, and you can use your money to live a balanced and a fulfilled life. So are you, and I want you to share it with us in your in the chat box. You will see either on the top of your screen or at the bottom, there is a chat, so you can tell us, how do you feel? Do you feel like number A, or do you feel like number B? You are almost a bit overwhelmed if you think about finances, and you are stressed out, and sometimes you have that feeling of your purse is constantly empty and you don't know what happened to the money, and it's actually a bit of a pressure if you think about finances. Maybe you can share with me, how do you feel? I see mainly B's, and yeah, I see there's one comment coming through, usually A, but these last 2 months B. I think that is also something very true. I think like if I've probably asked many of you a couple of months ago, you would have probably responded a bit differently. So thank you for responding. So let us see what we can do about that feeling, and if we can see how we can change that back to a number A. Okay, so let me just give you a little bit of background about myself. Like Charlotte mentioned, I am a chartered accountant by profession. So I have about 14 years of experience in the working in the large listed corporate financial services industries. So I literally had exposure to the top 4 banks, all your big insurance and investment companies, asset managers, medical aids. So I literally spend a lot of time in the financial services industry. And I think what helped me with that is I've literally seen how those big and hugely successful companies, how they are managing their finances, and what are the processes that they have in place, and what do they do to make them being that successful and earning billions, and how do they manage that money that they actually earn, and how do they use their financial results to make proper financial decisions. And that is literally, I would say, my biggest competitive advantage in terms of what I'm doing currently with my financial consulting and training business, where I focus a lot on smaller to medium businesses. And it's basically taking all of that experience and expertise and what I've seen in the large listed companies, and bring that down to the smaller to medium size businesses that I'm working with. So there's really a lot of value that you can put back into these businesses, because they quite often don't yet have that experience. They don't have large financial departments or financial resources that can help them to really make powerful financial decisions. So my company is called Financially Fit Life. And yeah, then like Charlotte said, I've received a number of business and financial awards last year. I was also in the WAS competition. I was a finalist in the Women in Finance category, so something that I'm quite proud of. And then I'm also the author of Financially Fit and Wealthy, my book that I've published at the beginning of 2019. And then I am also the co-owner of Physique Fit Guest House, which I own together with my sister.
So Ronel, very interesting. So you actually have two businesses running simultaneously. What would have driven you to decide to start a guest house? It's so different to what you are doing actually in your core business.
Yeah, Charlotte, that is, I think, a very valid question. And a lot of people actually ask me that question. Now, yes, I think it was a childhood dream of mine to one day own a game lodge and a wellness retreat. But us, like in ending up opening or starting a guest house, was actually accidentally. We wanted to buy a bigger premises so that we can live on the premises and that we can run our offices from the premises. And then it just happened that the premises that we bought was quite big, and we had basically 9 rooms, with all of them with en-suite bathrooms. And we decided, but it actually gives us that opportunity to run a guest house as well. Now, I think in terms of the thought process, why we decided to do that, we have looked at the business model of a guest house, and we realized that that can be a very profitable type of business because it's got quite high fixed costs on a monthly basis. But once you are exceeding that fixed cost, then you obviously, your profit margin is really increasing a lot. And then you can make quite good profit and good money once you are a bit more grown and you have quite a fixed database of guests. So we also wanted to have an additional source of income, and we thought by doing that we can diversify our current income streams. Like I said, I'm in the financial world. My sister got a private practice as a psychologist. So that was something completely different for us. And up until now, I'm very grateful that we diversified our business like that. But apart from that, we've decided that we want to use this business to create more wealth for ourselves over the longer term, and that we want to use the profits from this business to invest in other assets and to basically buy other assets and to grow our wealth portfolio over time. And then we also thought, but this can be a very nice passive income over the longer term, because it can eventually run independently from us. And then we also thought, but with both of us being entrepreneurs, this can also be added to our retirement portfolio, because one day we can, obviously, it can still run even though we might have been retired, but we can still earn an income from it, or whether we want to sell it is another option. And I think that is another important thing for entrepreneurs, that I find it working with a lot of the entrepreneurs that they quite often don't really plan or spend a lot of time thinking about retirement. And I also would like to encourage the people listening to this webinar to really start thinking about those things if you are not yet putting away sufficient money for your retirement. And I think that is almost kind of showing us that we have like in a much bigger vision for our business. And once you have that almost bigger vision for your business, it changes how you think about your business. You are no longer thinking about, I want to survive during this month so that I can again start chasing sales next month and try to survive again, because it's almost kind of like elevate you to another level of thinking, and you think, but whatever I'm going through now, or whatever all the challenges and everything, there is a bigger vision that I have for my business and I want to get to. And I think that really encouraged us to keep going through these 4 years that we have since we've started. Okay, so, and then I think while we were on that question, I would like to take you a little bit through our journey in terms of our guest house, how we have started. Now we have, I think a lot of you will probably have traveled in the past, or if you think about this owning a guest house, you have this very kind of idyllic picture in your head where you think of it almost like in like a fairy tale or something really, really nice. And that was something that we also had. We had this fairy tale picture when we started out. And then, yes, the first year turned out to be exactly the opposite. I think the first year was a complete nightmare for us, especially with us being 100% female owned and managed. You can see there on the pictures, there's just one picture. We had in the first year, we had 4 geysers that burst. The one ruined the 1 bedroom completely. And we had so many challenges during the first year that, yeah, I can sometimes not really believe that we are where we are currently. So it was really a difficult journey for us. And then but then there was a lot of positive coming out of it. When we started out, Joyce and Eva joined us. They joined us as cleaners. And like you can see on that picture, at that stage, we literally, we started with having a bigger dream and some hope that we will get there, but we didn't really know how we're going to get there. But the story really unfolds into such a beautiful story later on. So there you can see on the screen, Eva, she loves to cook, and we sent her on a lot of cooking courses. So she's quite a little master chef by now. And Joyce wants to do some office administration. So she is actually doing some computer courses. And we've also in 2017, 2018, we ran an internship program for the students from the Down Syndrome Association of South Africa. So we really want to be a guest house that's seen to really make an impact in the community as well. There's a picture of the 4 of us together with my sister, Joyce and Eva, at our 3rd birthday in 2019. And there's a picture of us towards the end of 2019 when we've received the GWOP Businesswoman of the Year runner-up award. So I think our journey is much more than a journey of financial success. It's also a story of really empowerment and how our ladies have grown and developed during this period. And I think you can just, if you look there at the first pictures and then compare it to the last pictures, you can see that big transformation. So I think that is probably one of our biggest success stories. Now, just to give you a little bit of background, and I share this specifically because you can then understand, if I go through the rest of the presentation, where we are today. So I think in year 1, we obviously made a loss. And that was mainly because of we had quite a big capital outlay, obviously, buying a guest house and having to furnish 9 bedrooms. So that was quite expensive. And we obviously started from scratch, so we didn't have any guests. But then from year 1 up until basically year 2 and year 3, we had a 200% growth in revenue. Now, there's obviously a lot of things that contributed to that. But yes, that was really, we've seen significant growth there. Then again in 2019, 2020, we made our full year target in terms of revenue after only 9 months. And I was doing a financial consulting project in Cape Town, basically the whole of 2019 up until April 2020. And we have grown and developed our staff to a point where Joyce and Eva were managing the guest house together with my sister while I was in Cape Town. And I think there it was already showing us a lot more glimpses of this kind of bigger vision and fairy tale that we have in mind, that we can run this business independently and we can still make a success of that. Also in January 2020, this year, we actually doubled our revenue from what we had in January 2019, which was awesome, and we've really celebrated that. So all of that was so great. And then the next minute, like you would all know what happened at the beginning of March, we had lockdown and we were literally still basically at full capacity the one day, and then we had one speech and everything changed. It was literally now we had to close, we couldn't host any further guests, and yes, I think that was the reality that just hit us in March 2020.
So Ronel, first of all, congratulations to you and your sister. And I think for a few things, I think first of all, you have inspired people that have grown very, very quickly from being your helpers to now being in, as you said, almost to the point of running a business within a business. So congratulations on that. A 200% growth in revenue within 3 years, or 2 years really, because the first year you made a loss, is really a great achievement. So congratulations on that too. Now, you've just spoken lockdown, and I guess your industry has been severely affected. What would you say helped you the most surviving this lockdown period, considering the industry that you are in and the fact that it's been so severely affected?
Yeah, Charlotte, I think there's obviously the big emotional impact, like I've tried to explain by the previous 2 slides of we were really growing and we were on a high and we were starting to achieve our goals, and the next minute it almost felt like everything is just gone. You know, it's something completely out of our control. There's absolutely nothing that we can do about it. So it's almost kind of, you see a lot of hard work and a bigger dream almost fading away. So there's all that kind of emotional impact to it. Then I think there's always that kind of uncertainty. How long is this going to last? And I think that is a question that many business owners are currently facing. And then it's also about how are we going to, because if it lasts for 3 or 4 or 5 months, it's still okay, but how long will it take for business to pick up after that? And we obviously, we've never even thought of not paying our staff, because they've really been instrumental during our journey. So that was something that never was something that we thought of. So we said, like, from the start, we will pay them their full salaries, even though they are not working or they cannot work. But I think it was, for us, the biggest thing that really caused for us less stress during this period is the fact that we were in quite a good financial position going into this lockdown. So we've really spent a lot of time on managing our finances and analyzing our finances. That is so important, even though you might think you are still a startup or it's still in your first or second year and you are not big enough. But that is really those kind of decisions that you make during that period is really critical for when something like this happens, because that can be kind of like a make or break type of situation. And I think what we are learning from this is that this is now a really bad experience that a lot of people are having, but the only thing that we can do is to make sure that whenever something like this has to happen again, that we are in the best possible financial position going forward.
That's incredible. So, you know, you then have a lot that you can teach us with regards to that, and we are really here to learn. How do we do this?
Yeah, I would like to share with you a couple of the things that I believe really helped us during this period, and you would see that there's nothing that's really big kind of brain science type of things that I'm going to share. A lot of it is basics, but I think a lot of times people don't get the basics right. And once you have a very strong financial foundation, it really makes it a lot easier. And that's what I would like to share with you during this presentation is, first of all, why your accountant never told you how to manage your finances, why chasing sales can actually cause financial difficulty, 3 practical ways to immediately improve your cash flow, and then also what you can do to keep your business financially sound even during a pandemic. And I'm going to use our guest house to sometimes give you practical examples so that I can just basically illustrate to you what I mean with certain things. Now, first of all, I think in terms of why your accountant never told you how to manage your finances. And like I said, I do a lot of work for small to medium business owners, and I get this a lot. When I start working with them, then they would say, but why didn't my accountant tell me this? Or why is my accountant not doing this? Or they would say, but no, I don't worry about my finances. I do have an accountant. And I think that is something that business owners should be very clear on, is that an accountant, you pay an accountant to do a certain function, and that is pretty much your record keeping, your financial statements, your compliance to tax and whatever you are paying them for. But you are paying them to provide a certain service to you, and that's what they do. You don't pay them to be the financial director in your company or the chief financial officer or something. And that is why your accountant won't fulfill all these other financial functions. And that is where your role comes in as well as a business owner. Because even if you think about studying something like accountancy at university, accounting is just kind of one subject, but then there's still financial management. So it is so broad in terms of your financial processes and controls, your cash flow management, cost management, capital management, budgeting, management accounts, your analysis and decision making. So it's much, much bigger, your financial situation, than only your accounting. And that's really, if you bring together all of those different aspects, like your accounting, because that almost fits into your financial management process. And once you've basically added those different components between your accounting and your financial management, then only you will start seeing more financial success. And that will lead to resulting in more profit, being more financially stable, having like a cash generating type of business, being able to grow as a business because you understand your finances and you manage it the best way possible. So that is something I would like to really get people to understand, that the financial success of your business is your responsibility. So you cannot be kind of step backward and say, okay, I have an accountant, or I have a financial advisor, or a tax consultant, or whoever, because at the end of the day, you are the business owner and you are responsible to grow your business and to make the best possible decisions. So you must still take that responsibility, and first of all, equip yourself with the financial knowledge to be able to make the best financial decisions, and then also spend some time on your finances. I think that is something that we do as part of managing the guest house. Is I literally sometimes, some months, I would spend almost 2 days of the month to go and analyze the finances, go through my financial statements, go through my management accounts, go do cost calculations. And all of those things really help you to understand where you can change things, how can you improve, what expenses can you cut, where can you do a small change that will actually help you to grow or to make more profit. So that is something that's really, really important. Then I would like to ask, who of you can actually relate to this picture? That you sometimes feel you are on this little wheel, almost feeling like a hamster or a mouse, and you are literally just running. You are so busy and you are chasing business and chasing sales all the time, but it feels like you are not really getting anywhere. You are not really seeing the money coming in, or you are not really growing financially, but you are working so hard and you really try your best, but it almost feels like you cannot really get out of this situation. It's literally just trying to survive from month end to month end, and just trying to chase sales and chase business. So yeah, so you can maybe share a little bit there in the comments if you can identify with this type of situation. Now, I know in that first year with the guest house, I literally felt being in this kind of position almost every day. It was literally just trying to survive and trying to figure out how to do certain things. So yeah, I would love to see if there's more people actually feeling. Yeah, I see it's coming through. It's an every month type of things. Yep, I've been running. So yes, that's good if you actually do experience, well, not good, but think that is something that a lot of people are experiencing, and I think now during this period even more so. So let me take you a little bit about why chasing sales can cause financial difficulty. Now, I think what I see happening at a lot of my clients, and I think that was also something that happened to me, especially during the first year, is that you are sometimes so busy chasing sales and chasing business that you don't have time for other aspects of the business. And that's where it comes in, that quite often you don't have time to spend on your financial management or on a bit of strategic thinking, or to spend time on your staff and really help them to develop, because all of that can ultimately help you to grow your business and to improve on your business. And once you've got those aspects right, and those aspects to be running optimally, you will almost find that sometimes you don't need to spend that much time chasing business anymore, because a lot of the other aspects are actually helping you. And I think there I can also talk in terms of the guest house. These days, because we've spent so much time developing Joyce and Eva, so they are such a big asset to us, and the guests would come and they would love them, and next time the guest will come again and again and again. And that's actually, we have spent time on developing the staff, and that's actually bringing in more profit that over the long term. So you need to think sometimes a bit differently in terms of how you manage your business. Then also what is important is to stop chasing sales that aren't profitable. And that comes in, I think, in terms of your costing or your pricing. And I find that a lot with the smaller to medium-sized enterprises, that they quite often, they haven't really put in much thought in terms of how much are they actually going to ask for their product or their service. And they basically just look at what's out there, what's the competitors asking, and then they try to kind of just come in a bit lower than the competitor. And also what I find is quite often that as entrepreneurs, especially in the beginning, that we sometimes undervalue ourselves and we underprice ourselves. And if you're really going to continue to almost kind of like chase all these sales that aren't actually profitable, you will find that you can sell 1 million products every month, but if those products aren't profitable, then it doesn't help you. You are still going to be on that little wheel because you are running them, but there's actually nothing happening and you are not making any progress. The same with if you get your business or your sales in, but your financial management is lacking. Now there I also experience a lot with my clients. They are making targets in terms of the sales targets that they set for themselves, and they are growing in terms of revenue, but because they don't have the basis or the foundation correct in terms of how they manage their cash and how they manage their creditors and their debtors and everything else in their business, then they are still not making progress because that financial management layer is almost missing. Again, like, and it doesn't help you have a lot of money coming in, but then you don't know what actually happened to that money, or you don't manage it well. Charlotte, I don't know if you can maybe just check for me if there are maybe any questions at this stage that we can look at.
Hi, Ronel. So Lorraine Jenks has actually asked regarding you paying your staff. She was asking whether you're actually doing this out of your personal finance.
No, we don't, and I will come to that in my, I think it's in my second slide, so then I will respond to that.
Okay, and then I see Joop van Dam is saying, for me, it's about trying to find more consistent revenue versus once-off sales.
Yes, I think there I totally agree. And I also found more in my financial business that sometimes what can really help you a lot is if you are also having some low cost products as part of your business. So and I find it especially during this period where people were, they were almost desperate trying to look for financial guidance. And because I had some kind of programs that's really not costing a lot, my book is also, I'm selling it at a very low price, but now people can still buy it even though they are maybe in financial difficulty. And what helped me with that is that there's constant revenue coming in. And even though you might start off with it being small, but it is that kind of like inconsistent revenue, which also helps because you don't always need to go and chase those kind of like in big ticket items, because those kind of things grow over time and gives you more revenue on a monthly basis.
So you are actually now saying that you encourage people to have multiple streams of income. How does one actually manage that in an effective way?
I think again, and that was something that we also had to do with, like in the guest house as well as my financial business. You definitely need to make sure that you don't try to do as much as possible, and then you're actually not making progress because you are actually just kind of like in running around and you are not being like an effective. So sometimes it does help to start focusing on one thing until it's kind of like in at a stage where you feel it's kind of set up nicely now, and now you can move to adding another thing. So what I did, for example, the first almost the whole of 2016 and 2017, I spent the majority of my time on the guest house. And as I could see, but the guest house is picking up and it requires less and less of my attention, I could spend it more on my financial consulting and start picking up the financial consulting business as well. But you definitely, with the multiple income streams, need to be considerate that you don't try to do too much too soon. Rather get something to a point where it works and it's actually profitable and you can see it can kind of run more independently, and then you move on to adding another stream of income.
Thank you, Ronel.
Fine. So yes, so then let us move on to just quickly give you 3 practical ways to immediately improve your cash flow that you can apply right now. Now, I think what I see at a lot of the smaller businesses that I'm working with is the invoicing. Quite often, because I always try to support smaller businesses when we need to buy things for the guest house specifically. But then I quite often find that people only would invoice, you would buy that or order it, and they would only invoice you like a week later or 2 weeks later, or even at the end of the month. And my suggestion is that if you are maybe still doing it manually, or you have to do it yourself, if it is on a system, rather make time on a daily basis. Spend like in 30 minutes every day and do your invoicing for that day so that you can get your cash flow in quicker. Don't kind of like wait for 2 weeks, and because by that time you are also already a bit out of mind in terms of the supplier or the client or the customer or whoever you delivered that product or service to. So if you can rather kind of, when they put in the order or they ask for a quote and they've accepted the quote or whatever the situation is, quickly send them the invoice as quick as possible so that you can get that money in as quick as possible. The same with your methods of payment. Make it easy for the customer or the client to actually pay you. What we found is at the beginning, we first only had kind of a EFT or a cash, kind of like when they arrive here. And that actually caused a bit of issues. And then we changed that payment system so that people now, when they book, they immediately pay. There's a payment link on our website, on all the booking sites. We've basically implemented that payment system, and now people pay immediately. And already it makes a huge difference in our cash flow situation, just to kind of, when people book, you know, it's paid, and you don't need to go and worry and chase after sales or get your debtors in at a later stage. So try to think about those things. I know there's a nice thing even on your invoices where you can already include a payment link on your invoice. So even if you send invoice in PDF or in Word, you can have that link, and people can, once they open up the invoice, if you still have like a manual type of process, they can literally click on that payment link, and they already make the payment immediately via credit card or even EFT, and they don't kind of put your invoice in their file and forget about it, and then you need to go and follow up again. Then also try to, if you are not in a business model where you do like an upfront cash model type of business, try to request a deposit for doing business, because then you already get some cash flow in early on. I know a lot of people, and I also see it with the smaller to medium-sized businesses, they would, you know, they would already deliver the product, or they will finish the whole service, and then only they send an invoice, and then only they get payment. So you can really almost like fast track that process by saying, yes, I will do this service for you, or I will deliver this product, but can you please pay me a deposit of, even if it's 50% or 50% upfront, so that I can have that steady cash flow coming in much quicker. And then also in terms of your outflows, what I see a lot happening as well is that businesses will get to a period where they either need to pay something like the tax or the VAT or something And then they realize, but I do not really have enough cash to make this payment. And there I will really like to encourage you to have multiple bank accounts where you can put money aside when you receive money. So for instance, you are a sole proprietary, then whenever you get, and you say for instance, you know more or less your effective cash rate is 50%. Then whenever you get some income, some revenue, some cash inflow, you already take 50% of that amount and you put it in your tax account. Now, I've basically told my sister to do it when she started out with her private practice about 8-9 years ago, and she's diligently doing that, and she never has problems with now she needs to pay, because she's obviously doing very well, so she's paying quite a big amount of tax, but she's never in that position where she needs to stress about not having money to pay for her tax or her VAT or whatever, because she is putting money aside. And that is something that's a really nice financial habit to start with, is that the same with your VAT. If it is something that you get your inflow, then put your 14% or your 15% now, put it away in your VAT account, and whenever you need to make your VAT payment, then you know you have those kind of the cash available. Now, kind of accounts that work well for that is something like a call account. All the banks offer that, so that's where the cash is available immediately, or also something like a money market, if it's more for something like tax or even VAT that you only need to pay in 2 months or maybe 6 months from now, and you also earn a better interest rate on putting your money in those kind of accounts. Then I'm going to share with you a little bit about what you can do to keep your business financially sound even during a pandemic. And this is really something very practical, basic type of things that we did, and that really helped us tremendously during this period. So I think the question that we had previously in terms of how are we paying our staff during this period is because we do have some emergency funds available. And I think that was literally in the first year when we just started out. I've already started to, whenever we had a little bit of extra money or bit of profit available, I've put it aside to start building up an emergency fund. Now, there's obviously a lot of ways that you can go about it and that you can start building up an emergency fund. But I think this is something that's really critical. I cannot emphasize this enough. Similar to your personal financial situation where you need an emergency fund, the same with your business. You need to start building up an emergency fund that can to basically cover for your operational expenses for at least 6 months if something like this happened. Now, this obviously helped us a lot because we obviously, since March, where we haven't received any income, we are tapping into our emergency fund to pay for our water and electricity and the staff and the Wi-Fi and all the type of expenses that we still need to pay during this period, even though we cannot run our business. So there, ideally what you want almost like in 4 different type of accounts. that you want to start building. Now, we don't have enough time today to really go into this in depth, but this is something that you really need to work towards, and that I think would be all businesses that I think are less stressed during this period is most likely because they have some emergency funds available that they can tap into during this period. Then also quite important to be very conservative when making profits or when starting making some money. I think we waited till about the third year before we really started to make some improvements and redo some bathrooms and those kind of things. But I see, especially with my clients, a lot of them I would be working with them and they would start making more revenue, making more profit. And then when I get there 3 months later, they would have bought a new bakkie or something. And then you're like, but why did you buy this? No, but we have more money available now. And I think that is where a lot of people go wrong, is the minute, and I agree, you need to invest in your business, but be conservative with those decisions. If it's something that can still wait for another couple of months, rather make your business financially stronger before you start spending money on all of those additional things. Then also something that's very, very important is quite often you will find that the micro decisions that you are making actually result in macro results at the end of the day. What we have, for example, and I think a lot of you might also have this in terms of your credit card machine, we realize that credit card machines are extremely expensive in terms of the monthly fees that you need to pay. And when we have implemented this payment system, it really helped us a lot, because we used to pay 450 Rand a month for our credit card machine. And then when we've implemented this new payment system, that only cost us 150 Rand a month. So that is actually a 300 Rand saving a month. Now you might think, okay, that's small, but over a year it's 3,600 Rand that you actually have a cost saving. And then you again, like what we do is we try to invest a lot of our profits and buy other assets again. So we also have some farming ventures that we invest in, and that again can help you to basically buy 12 blueberry bushes, and now you earn about 14% return on that. So actually you're putting 4,104 Rand back into your business in terms of additional assets. But now also you no longer have those kind of no-shows where people make a booking but they don't pay because they pay up front now. So we are no longer losing out on all of that business. And then obviously also we had a big reducing basically of our debt, our bad debt, where we previously had about 27,000 Rand that we couldn't recover in the previous year, where last year we didn't have any outstanding debt at the end of the year. So there you can already see something as small as just thinking about how can you make that process more effective, or how can you change that or cut costs. It's actually not only 300 Rand a month that you are saving. There's a much bigger impact and actually adding and contributing to your bigger business growth and your profits. And then also focus on profitability and cash flow. And sometimes it is almost better to say no to a sale or a client or a guest than to actually make losses on certain products or services. What we found during the first year, we had some guests booking on a long-term basis, so they would stay for a month or two. And obviously, if you're starting out, then you are very desperate to get the business in. You offer them good discounts, and your occupancy rate is actually increasing, so it looks great. But if you go back to your financial results and you have a look at what's happening there, then you realize, but those people are still using Wi-Fi every day. They use water and electricity every day. Their rooms needs to be cleaned every day. They basically use all the services on a daily basis, but you are actually giving them a huge discount for staying for a month or 2 months. And because you are not doing a proper cost analysis, then you realize, but actually we are making a loss on offering these guests these big discounts. So if it wasn't something that I because I spent so much time on analyzing our finances, I wouldn't have picked that up early enough. And these days we would just say, we would give them like in a proper price. We don't give them huge discounts for long-term stays, because we make sure that whenever we get guests in, that we maximize our profit margins. And then lastly, to spend time on analyzing your financial results. I think like once you really know and understand how to manage your finances optimally, and remember there I'm referring to management accounts, not really to your financial statements as such, but your management accounts that you need to manage on a weekly or monthly basis. That really gives you so much so powerful type of information in terms of what's happening in your business, that you can really use that information to make better decisions and to really grow your business optimally, because you really know what's going on in your finances. I don't know, Charlotte, you can maybe at some point, but we can maybe leave it till the end in terms to look if there's any more questions. I would just like to, at this stage, maybe ask you, who of you is keen to build a business that really thrives financially, and you want to know how I help my other clients to build financially sound businesses? You can maybe give me there in the chat box. Just tell me, where are you with your finances? Are you keen on building a business that really thrives financially? Okay, so I see some yes coming through. Yes, I'm keen. Okay, awesome. So let me share with you a little bit more in terms of how do I help my clients with their finances. There's just a few pictures to actually show you that we actually do have quite a bit of fun during our financial consulting sessions, and that it's definitely not something that is boring. I know a lot of people always think that learning about finances cannot be any fun, but yes, we actually do have a lot of fun during our financial consulting sessions. Then I also just want to remind you about your pictures. I'm soon going to share with you what we need you to do with your selfie or your picture that you have taken, and then we will announce the prize winner. So let me quickly take you through what I'm basically offering, or what I'm giving my clients. I would typically do like four sessions of 1 hour each, group financial consulting sessions. So now, obviously, during this period, it will be online. We're doing it via Zoom, and that is really where we touch on how to implement financially sound principles in your business. We're really looking a lot at cash flow management, and I think especially during this period, it's really something very, very important. If we look at some stats, people have indicated that most entrepreneurs feel that a lack of cash flow and how to manage their cash flow in the next few months almost contribute to 61% of their biggest financial concerns. So during those sessions, we will really spend a lot of time on looking at what kind of cash flow management strategies you can implement. How do you really measure cash flow? Because remember, cash flow is something different from your profit statement or your income statement. And how can you monitor your cash on a continuous basis? Then also we're looking at some tips in terms of how you can analyze your financial results. How do you build up management accounts, which is different from your financial statements, but something that's really powerful and really giving you all the information that you can use to really make good decisions when it comes to financial management. And remember, management accounts is different for every single business. It will depend on where you are at, your type of industry, what you do, your products, your services. So we really spend time on figuring out what will work best for you. Then I'm also sharing a roadmap for businesses to thrive financially. So that is literally telling you from A to Z, what are the type of processes and controls and things that you need to have in place to really have a business that not only survive, but can thrive financially. Then there's also a financial health pre-assessment that I do with the client so that we can understand where you are currently and what are the things that we need to focus on, and where we can see areas for improvement. Then we also, I will share a guide to improve your business cash flow with a lot of valuable information and tips that you can practically apply in your business, and also sharing a cash flow statement template that will really help you to measure and monitor your cash on an ongoing basis. I know a cash flow statement is something that's quite complicated, even in the big businesses, and therefore you need to spend some time to understand it and to make use of it optimally. And then what I will also throw in here, because you cannot really run a financially or a business that thrives financially if your personal finances is not stable and in a good position. So I also throw in a financially fit and wealthy ebook. So that is basically the ebook version of my book talking about personal finances. Now, if we can just look at the values in terms of what you will typically pay for something out there, or what is the perceived value of these underlying items. So that is typically what's the market price out there in the market. Now, we will have for your group financial consulting sessions, it's usually around 4,000 Rand, the roadmap at about 800 or 750 Rand, the financial health pre-assessment, the guide to improve business cash flows about at 300, the cash flow statement template at about 300, the financially fit and wealthy ebook at about 150 Rand. So that gives you a total value of about 5,750 Rand that you will get for this full package. Now, if I do something like this with my clients, I usually charge about 4,500 for something similar. I've thrown in a couple of additional bonuses here that I don't usually do for my clients. But I know Charlotte also asked me that it is a very, very difficult and tough financial period at the moment. We do realize that a lot of our businesses and our business owners are taking financial strain. And she asked me, what's really the best price that we can offer it for the people who are attending this webinar that I present together with WAS. And what we decided is the best price that you will get all of this for is 1,797 Rand. So I know they usually say something like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity and you're never going to get this price again, but I really believe this is an exceptional good value that we are offering this to you, something that we believe it will really help you, it will add value to you, and it will really put you in a better position to get out of this lockdown and thrive financially again. So just to make sure, I use small groups. I never have big groups because I want to spend maximum time on with the people. So I usually cap it at about 6 or 7 people per group. So therefore I literally just have space for about 6 or 7 people maximum. Then we will also make this offer available until Friday, 12th of June at 12 o'clock. So you have a couple of days to think about it, to take it up, and to really start looking at your financials or your financial position going forward. And then we will also offer a 14-day money-back guarantee. So if you start off with the sessions and you feel it doesn't help you at all and you are not benefiting from it, you are more than welcome to just send me an email, and we will refund you with your money within 14 days. And then we will be sharing this link in the chat box as well. But you can go to financiallyfitlife.coza/was and all the information is on there, so you can go through it again. And there's also a payment link for you to make payments. And then, like I said, you have up until Friday, and I can only take about 6 or 7 people to fill a group. I only have 1 slot available. And then to go back to what we said at the beginning, your pictures or your selfies that you have taken. So what we would like for you to do is after this webinar, please go onto your social media pages on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and go post your selfie or your picture that you have taken and use these hashtags. It's Women of Stature, Financially Fit Life, and Thrive Financially. Women of Stature, Financially Fit Life, and Thrive Financially. Then we will cut it at about, say, 5 o'clock this, or make it 4 o'clock. We are almost 2:30 now, so it gives you an hour and a half to quickly go post your picture. Tell us a little bit about how you have experienced the webinar. Did you get some tips that can help you? And then we will announce a winner in a follow-up email, and the winner can win a 1-hour one-on-one financial coaching session that is valued at 1,650 Rand. So all you have to do, go post your picture, use these hashtags so that we can identify you and we can pick a winner. So I hope you've been very creative with your picture, and then hopefully you can win a financial coaching session where we can brainstorm, and you can decide. We can brainstorm your personal finances, your business finances. We can do a little bit of both, but make maximum use of that 1 hour so that we can get your finances back on track, and that you can really start hitting the ground running after all of this. So please go, don't forget to go and post your picture and use the hashtags. And yes, then this is basically all from my side. I hope that you've got some value, that you can use some of it and you can go back to your financial situation. You can go and apply some of these principles, apply it consistently, because that is also important. And yes, that my wish is really for every business owner to come out of this situation, to stand up again from wherever you are during this period, that you can really get back up and that you can thrive financially, and to make a decision today that you will never end up in a similar kind of situation ever again, and that you want to give yourself that opportunity to be in the best financial position, personally as well as for your business in future. So yes, that's everything from my side. I don't know, Charlotte, or the questions, comments. Just again, there's that link again, financiallyfitlife.coza/was for you if you are interested in taking up that financial consulting package.
Well, Ronel, thank you so much. I can certainly say that I'm certainly taking up your offer. Thank you so much for coming to the party. Thank you for making this available at a price which is, I believe, an absolute steal. I don't think that there's ever been a time more appropriate to really focus on one's finances. I do see that we have some comments in the chat box. I just want to make sure that we don't miss out on anybody. Let me just see. Okay, there was, well, quite a few seem interested. We've got Isabel, she says she's in. We've got Angelique that said fabulous offer. Santi said really fantastic offers. So, and you mentioned that it's a maximum of a certain number of people and that it's only available on until Friday at noon. So is there anybody that would like to unmute themselves, would like to ask Ronel a question? We still have a little bit of time. It's until 2:30. Anybody want to take up this opportunity? Nobody?
Charlotte, I also just want to add there, I know sometimes finances is quite sensitive and people do not always feel comfortable asking a question in this kind of format. So I would also like to give you an invitation or to encourage you that if you've been listening to this webinar and you do have any questions, you're also more than welcome to email me. My email address is on there. Also to get in touch with me on social media and ask me your questions. I'm more than willing to help you with your questions.
So Ronel,
Charlotte, can I just make a comment?
Yes, certainly.
I just want to say thank you so much to you, Charlotte, for getting Ronel. And Ronel, this was incredible content. I have attended, I think it was one of your first book launches at the Hirsch, one of the Hirsches, a long time ago. That was where we met, and you provide such valuable content. And I have read Ronel's book as well, which is really amazing. So just even getting a book is going to add a lot of value in your life as part of this offer. And thank you for the wonderful insights. The one thing that was very interesting for me, Ronel, was when you said chasing certain sales is actually going to cost you more money. So would you say you need to actually calculate the cost of a sale?
You do, Jörg, and I think they also, especially with people also providing services, I think that is something that's very difficult, but it is extremely important that you do a proper cost calculation. And remember, it can also be different for different products, different services, because sometimes you would add a certain marketing campaign to a certain product that you are launching. So then that costing will be different from what you normally have. So that's not kind of like in a stock standard type of thing. And I always use that example of maybe you are selling boerewors rolls on the corner of a shopping center or something. Then most people think about it in terms of I need to take the what do you call it, the bread roll, I need to take the vihana or the borscht or whatever you, or sausage kind of whatever you put in there, maybe some tomato sauce and mustard, maybe some onions, some butter, and that is pretty much what's my, so if all of that adds to 10 Rand and I charge 12 Rand for my boerewors roll, then I'm actually making a 2 Rand profit. But you are not taking into account the electricity maybe of the microwave that you have put the vihana in. You are not taking into account the serviettes that you are adding, or your containers, or if you have to pay rent or you pay salaries for that person preparing that hot dog. So there's much more involved in costing a product or a service and then only adding a profit margin. So you really need to go, and it's a lot more science behind it, doing a proper calculation and understanding the proper costing involved in any kind of product or service that you are selling.
Thank you so much. What payment link are you using? Are you using PayFast? Because I quickly went and looked. Is that what you're including in your invoices, or do you actually use another one for your guest house?
No, for the guest house, we have a specific booking system that is used for the hospitality industry. So that basically, it's almost like an interlink between the website, our website, as well as any booking site, like your booking.com, your Lekker Slaap, all those. And then they basically provide when you book online, then they give you kind of like a link for their payment system. So whenever we send out invoices kind of on a manual basis as well, we include that same link, and then they're still using that payment system. But you can do it with PayFast as well. I know there are other payment systems as well that also offer a similar type of service.
Thank you so much, Ronel. Amazing content. Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, we're almost at the end of our webinar for Tuesday, the 9th of June. I just want to again say thank you very much to Ronel for affording her very busy time within her schedule, running 2 businesses. But there's one thing that I want to just say that really stood out for me, and I think this is the advice I'm hearing from you, and the advice that I also give to members that are looking at multiple income streams. And you affirmed that today, Ronel, in saying focus on one at a time, because until that one is steady and that one is really, you've settled it in, you've got all your systems in place, you know that it's generating a generous profit margin already, and then you start looking at your second or your third. Because I think the mistake a lot of us make is that we are chasing, as you said, you're chasing sales, and you think by chasing sales in various businesses, that is the answer. But what one clearly needs to learn from what you're saying is that be mindful of, don't try and be all things to all people, but rather focus on one, make a success of that. That's the same advice that Leon, who's my business coach, has given me and is giving others as well, is focus on one business, make a success of that one business, and then consider anything else. I also just want to say thank you very much to the men that joined us today. Andre specifically has said that he wants to be part of your special offer. So we're going to have some testosterone in the mix of things here. And I'm really glad to see that the men are joining the Women of Stature webinars. It shows us that we want to be a well-balanced organization. So we are on 2:30 to everybody that joined in. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone. And we are going to be sending out the link to you tomorrow on your personal email. So you'll receive that from us, the recording. And then anything further that you want to discuss with Ronel, she's given you her contact details. So thank you to everybody. Thank you, Ronel. Well done. And Ronel, would you mind staying on? I want to have a chat to you after everybody has signed off. Thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Daar's hy. Okay, Ronel, ek gaan eintlik eindig. Ek gaan jou weer bel. Ek sien nou ek wil die recording eindig. Okay.